like many other people, Dillian Whyte believes that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua's quote unquote chance meeting in Marbella was actually a staged encounter. Now, interestingly, didn't Adam Smith, the head of Sky Boxing, also say that when he first saw the photo that he thought it was a staged meeting rather than a chance, random situation? Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but let me quote Dillian Whyte anyway. He said, "That looks so staged. Those two men met at the right time and the right place, and they were just having a casual chat. The way they speak on social media, they want to do this to each other. It looks like it was just staged. I was just laughing. I was thinking to myself, look at these two jokers. If I see someone and they're talking smack about me and saying that they are going to do this and do that, then when I see you, have the same energy. I'm not going to be standing outside your car window, standing on the sidewalk speaking to you. Come on, man." All right, that's all Dillian Whyte had to say, end quote. So I get what Dillian's saying, and I don't know. I've got no idea whether that meeting happened randomly or whether it was staged. I've got absolutely no idea. And I don't really care, to be honest. But in terms of what Dillian is saying and the reason he thinks it's staged, because they weren't acting all aggressive towards each other, well, Tyson Fury was in his car, right? And I'm not sure if he was with his family. Was he with his kids and his wife? Would he really want to be getting out of his car and having some, confrontational physical situation with AJ when he's with his family? I mean, I'm not sure. And on top of that, AJ is not that kind of guy to be taking it to people on the street. I don't think he was ever that kind of guy, even back in the days when, he was running the bad streets of Watford, right? Or running in the bad streets of Watford. Watford ain't bad, by the way. Anybody who's not from the UK, Watford is not a rough place. But I don't think AJ was ever really that guy. But certainly since he's become a professional boxer, AJ is not the kind of guy to bring arms out to your mum's house. Whereas Dillian Whyte is. Dillian Whyte is the kind of guy who, in or out of the ring, if he's got a problem with you, he's going to be aggressive in dealing with it. Dillian Whyte offered AJ out in the streets several times before they actually fought. He's told the story many times about when they were both in the Klitschko camp and Dillian told AJ to come outside so they could have a straightener, and AJ didn't want it. And Dillian Whyte has done that to several fighters. And obviously we saw AJ when he was face to face with Jarrell Miller. I mean, who looked like the more aggressive of the two? So AJ's an athlete. He's a sportsman. He's a guy who does the fighting in the ring, but outside of the ring, he's not that guy. Whereas Dillian Whyte is. So Dillian Whyte needs to take that into account. Yeah. AJ is not the kind of person to be all rah-rah with you outside of the ring. Maybe Ty and Booth notwithstanding. He's not the kind of guy to be like that. And Tyson Fury maybe from time to time could get a bit aggressive outside the ring, but he's also matured a lot. He's a businessman now, Tyson Fury. He's thinking more with a business mind. He's a family man. So I don't think Tyson Fury really feels like he needs to prove anything, jumping out of his car and, pushing AJ around. I don't think he feels like he needs to prove anything by doing that. So the point I'm making here, and yes, it's a labored point, is that if this was a chance encounter, I don't think their behavior was, unusual for a chance encounter. I wouldn't personally expect AJ and Fury to be at each other's throats if they randomly met in person. No, that's not what I would expect at this stage. If Tyson Fury met Dillian Whyte, you might get some fireworks going off because Dillian Whyte is a more confrontational kind of character than AJ is. Yeah, and Dillian Whyte obviously comes from a kickboxing and MMA background, and he grew up in a much more rough environment than AJ did, both in Jamaica before he came to the UK and then in Brixton in South London. And he grew up fighting all the time with, his brothers and street fights and all that kind of business. So Dillian Whyte's that kind of guy who'll bring arms out to your mom's house. Yeah. So he's seeing things through the perspective of what he would do. He's not really thinking about the fact that AJ is not that same kind of character. So anyway, that's just my perspective on it. Again, to clarify, I have no idea whether that meeting between AJ and Tyson Fury was staged or whether it was real. I've got no idea. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was real and just a random encounter. Yeah, because boxers tend to frequent a lot of the same places. You know, Marbella, a lot of boxers train out there. And a lot of boxers go out on holiday there, as well as footballers and, you know, all kind of different people. So, I mean, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua haven't bumped into each other for how many years? So eventually, if they're frequenting some of the same places, weren't they going to bump into each other just by the law of averages? You know? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm out.